right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Greetings. Welcome. Wow, that's weird. Did my did my YouTube even post at the time that I posted it? I don't know. Usually a lot of people already in the chats on YouTube, but okay, here they come. Hello. We're live on Rockfin. What's up, Rockfinners? I see you. Yes, folks hanging out. William, what's going on? Dr. Koo. Excuse me. Denver. We're live on Callin. Got people. Hello, Timothy on Callin. And some more people will be filing in on Callin, I'm sure. But hello and welcome to you. No notification? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I guessed. Anyways, y'all know when the show is. You know when to show up. Don't let me get a hold of a bad pun. Because I'll work it. But kudos to you for hanging out on the most in touch show on the interwebs. I don't know. I'm trying it out. All right. Covering this, Denver sent me this yesterday. I'm just saying, just going to read this as a just saying. Biden informant has gone missing. A key witness in House Republicans' investigation into the Biden family's business practices has gone missing. Wonder where he could be. Or she. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, who's leading the investigation, said his team has been unable to reach the FBI informant who alleged corruption by President Biden and his family. Wow. Comer added that the whistleblower communicating with the committee about the alleged influence peddling scheme knows the information and knows the informant and is credible. But they just happen to disappear, right? It's just coincidence, you know what I'm saying? I mean, things happen like this all the time. You know, like when people bring the mafia to trial and witnesses start dropping out. Maybe I don't want to say anything. I've changed my mind. No, my story was incorrect. That is a very interesting story. All right, let's look at this from Steve Austin. A realistic energy transition is to get better at using less of it. That's going to be hard to sell to people. So shouldn't the article be about how nothing really needs to change so that people will accept it? Obviously, mocking the let's just all go electric, get your renewable appliances and cars and trucks today, and we'll save the earth. Anyways, I thought this, obviously kind of aligns with the outlook of this program. Thought I'd read it. Realistic energy transition is to get better at using less of it. In 2022, I authored 2 articles expressing doubts about society's transition from fossil fuels to renewable solar and wind power. In this final article in the series, I'll explain why my conclusions are based on experience as well as analysis. My gloomy assessment of the prospects for renewable energy is not motivated by my love of fossil fuels. That's a very distinct point to make. In fact, I've spent the past 2 decades writing books and articles and giving hundreds of talks arguing that our collective adoption of coal, oil, and gas was the biggest mistake in human history. However, I don't think, as some spokespeople for the environmental organizations sometimes seem to do, that any criticism of alternative energy sources is a form of climate denialism. At the other extreme, I disagree with the few hardcore environmentalists who believe that renewables are a complete dead end. After humanity's fossil fueled fever has eventually broken, we will return to renewable energy one way or another. We've relied on renewable energy for untold millennia in terms of food, firewood, wind, and flowing water. It certainly would be preferable if we could partially transition to forms of renewable energy that would enable us to maintain some of the best of what we've accomplished over the past few energy-intensive decades, including scientific knowledge and creative works produced in a growing host of media, from sound recording to motion pictures to digital art. The internet, basically. And I actually completely agree with this take. Unfortunately, this will be impossible without functioning electricity grids, which are challenging to maintain even in the best of times. If we could use hydro, solar, wind, and geothermal energy to power slimmed-down grids, that would greatly ease the transition away from fossil fuels. In short, I have no reason to dislike renewable energy. In fact, I love it, and I live with it. My wife Janet and I have had solar panels on the roof of our house for so long that the first set aged to become antiques. Recently, we replaced that still working initial set, which we donated to a good cause, with a new one that was cheaper and far more efficient. We have a solar hot water heater, a solar cooker, and a solar food dryer. We heat and cool our home with solar-powered electric heat pump, and we drive an electric car. We went solar not for the purpose of virtue signaling, but in order to use our household as a laboratory. And the experiments have not only been instructive, but also enjoyable. We would never willingly go back to using the fossil fuel-based technologies we ditched. However, being an early adopter of solar technology has given me personal insight into some of the practical limitations and difficulties of making the energy transition. For example, proponents of the Inflation Reduction Act point out that the government can't be expected to pay for the transition entirely on its own. Rather, the idea is for government incentives to prime the national economic pump so that companies and households will be incentivized to do the heavy spending that will be necessary to ensure this transition. But what level of spending on the part of companies and the public is realistic? I can only cite Janet's and my own experience. We've spent tens of thousands of dollars on our own personal energy transition, even though we did things as cheaply as possible, and even though various financial incentives were already being offered by the government. Bigger tax breaks would have helped, but not every household will be installing a new mini-split HVAC system or induction stove or replacing its cars. The average U.S. household has 2 of them in the next few years. Similarly, not every company will want to replace its fleets of vehicles, including long-haul trucks, ships, and airliners, or abandon its sunken investments in other machinery, possibly including cement kilns and blast furnaces. In addition to my renewable experiments at home, I also explored the feasibility of transitioning away from fossil fuels while working on the 2016 book, Our Renewable Future, with David Frindley of the Energy Analysis Program at California's Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. We engaged in researching renewable energy over the course of the previous year, during which time I would propose questions to which Fridley could use technical analysis to answer. I asked Fridley how the consumer electronics industry can proceed without fossil fuels. I also asked him how our food system can adapt given the vital importance of nitrogen fertilizers currently made with natural gas. Fridley did the research and math and often came up with sobering answers. He concluded that nearly all the technical problems entailed in making these transitions can be solved at the laboratory scale. What do I mean by the laboratory scale? For example, it's possible to use solar electricity to make synthetic hydrogen-based fuels that can be used to keep airliners flying. However, in many cases, ramping up such solutions to vast industrial scale, which is necessary to maintain global business as usual status, is probably unrealistic. In rich countries like the U.S., the transition will only be feasible if we cut energy usage dramatically, especially for certain transportation modes, aviation, and industrial sectors, concrete and steel, while completely redesigning truly essential sectors, notably our food system. One thing Janet and I realized early on in our home energy transition experiment was most of the fossil fuel energy usage that sustains our household is not under our control. In our house, we don't do any mining, heavy manufacturing, road construction, or industrial agriculture. We can't even make the glass for our solar cookers. Other people do those things, and after carefully monitoring the relevant industries over the past 20 years, I've concluded that those other people are taking only tiny steps towards eliminating fossil fuels. The next 20 years may see more vigorous efforts in that direction, but the inertia is enormous. In my personal view, energy transition planning is now based far too much on abstract computer-based models that fail to include all the relevant factors. That's why we need nuclear. We don't need nuclear. We need to greatly reduce our energy intake. It's relatively easy to project renewable energy growth trends using a spreadsheet, but beyond the easy phases that Janet and I have undertaken, the actual implementation will imply vast changes in material supply chains and manufacturing processes, shifts that will be disruptive in the best case and nearly impossible in the worst. As I've suggested before, we need integrated pilot projects to identify major potential snags in the energy transition process. An ideal project would be to retrofit a medium-sized industrial city so it runs not just on electrical power system or its electrical power system on renewables, but also its transport and food systems, with sunlight and wind also supplying heat for its homes. Concrete for its roads and buildings would be made using renewable electricity, as would glass for its windows. I don't know. I'm not in total agreement with this article, but he does propose some interesting concepts. Just saying. The fact that there are no such pilot projects currently in operation is a clue that there are systemic roadblocks relating to large-scale interlocking technological systems that will make it hard and costly to wean from fossil fuels. Yeah. In some respects, the energy transition is analogous to redesigning and rebuilding an airplane while it's in flight. That is a great analogy. So, sorry, I don't know what happened there. That was really weird. Hold on, let me fix this. Yeah. Why is that happening? Weird. Anyways. Right. I mean, all of this is leading to the understanding that we cannot power industrial civilization as we know it on renewable energy. And if we take away all the fossil fuels, which we should, that would mean redesigning the way, almost every aspect about how we live. I personally think we should keep some technology. I think that, the internet is really important. Communication, super important. It's actually, the internet is leading to a hastening of evolution in mankind. That's my belief. The internet is actually capable of producing like a quickening of our evolution and our understanding of things on a mass scale that we have a problem understanding the scale of the issues facing us, and we need rapid communication and rapid transformation, and the only way we can do that is with the internet. I think we're going to have to keep some things, but we're going to have to get rid of most things, right? 90% of our technology, and most of it consumer based, right? The entire consumer based economy needs to go away, and we need to become more like tech as tool based, right? Necessities. You need these technologies, or some healthcare technologies. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Household experience is currently about the closest thing we have to operating pilot projects, so do the experiment yourself. Go solar, but notice how much energy you use and what you use it for. Also, pay attention to what energy you can control and what you can't. You may discover, as Janet and I have, that the most impactful efforts to reduce your carbon footprint involve simply reducing your travel and consumption. My aim is not to discourage people working towards an energy transition, but to insist that we develop a realistic plan for energy descent, rather than insisting on foolish dreams of eternal consumer abundance by means other than fossil fuels. Currently, politically rooted insistence on continued economic growth is discouraging truth-telling and serious planning for how to live well with less. Yeah, I mean, solid common sense ideas here. What's up, Brock Finners? How you doing? Okay. Oh, what's up? We have a call from Phantomas. We'll take this call. Before I take this call, and while I fiddle with the sound, let you know how you can support the show. Hold on. I can make this work. Or make sure it's on. Give me a moment. I think I need to make sure that my cord is plugged in over here. It's always good to put your mixing board, well away from where you're doing your broadcast, so that you have to get up and go fiddle with it. For whatever reason, I don't know if I have sound on the. Y'all can hear my mic all right, though, right? I don't know, guys. I think Phantomas. Well, I'll just keep playing with this. But anyways, really good ways to support the show. buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. This is very weird. I have like no sound coming from this. Here, let's try this out and see if I can hear you, Phantomas. How you doing?
I can hear you.
No, nothing.
I can hear you.
I think my cord might be just is completely gone.
Okay. That's.
Let's try this again.
I'll try back again.
Guys. All right. Yeah, this is definitely my fault on my end, but for whatever reason, it shouldn't be completely. Maybe it is completely gone. I don't know. Give me one more second. It's getting real professional over here. Yeah, I think my plug is Ha. You guys are going to laugh at me. You guys are going to laugh. All right, Phantomas, we have you. What do you got to say? Are you there? Phantomas? Hello. Go ahead and say something. I think you're on. All right. Phantomas, I had you there. You were in there. And now I see you're muted. Go ahead and unmute. Okay. Phantomas, you were in. The sound is on. If you want to call back in, go ahead and do it. You're on. Hello. Check. Or do you guys have sound anymore on Colin? That is so weird. All right, hold on. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the... Very strange. Seem to have lost my... Okay, do we have sound here? Now I don't have sound on Colin. That's so strange. So you guys aren't hearing me on Colin right now, right? Ha, check. Can you guys hear Colin? Okay, I lost sound on Colin for some reason, so... Okay, Phantom is going to call back in. That's probably why you... There you go. All right. That was a complete... what do they call it? A cluster F? But how you doing, Phantomas? How you doing?
I'm doing good. So the question is, are you saying can we do it less? Is that what you mean by the question in your show? I came in a little late.
Oh, can we get a little less as far as consumption?
Yeah, I think the problem though with that, Kevin, and we've talked briefly, we touched on that, but I think the issue is that how do we do that? How do we distribute that so it's among the wealthy people, the poor people, and everyone in between? So everyone has to have less of what they're used to. That's the toughest thing of all.
It is. It's a really tough sell. It's almost an impossible sell. You know.
I think part of the problem is that advertising 24/7. This is the nightmare that we can't escape. There's advertising within advertising within advertising now. It's basically a world of meta advertising that we live in.
Right.
Right now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm talking on an Apple iPad. I'm talking on a...
Oh, yeah.
You know?
No doubt. And that's, I understand that there is a disconnect and a little bit of I don't know, right? We're all here kind of railing against industrial civilization, but we're using the tools of industrial civilization. Full stop, to all convene together and discuss this issue, right? So I don't know if you want to call it hypocrisy, but there is or irony, or I don't know what you want to call it, but
I think we have to deal with that. That's always funny to me when people say, when you say, "Aren't you being a hypocrite? Aren't you being a contradiction?" Life is a contradiction. Life is a hypocrisy. Life is everything. It's all wrapped into one. I mean,
right.
You have to, but that doesn't mean you can't. You shouldn't talk about it, because that's how we progress as people.
Right. Right. Well, and that's my issue with getting rid of I don't know. I listen to people like Whitney Webb and other people who are saying, as far as getting away from, the coming, I guess, like global techno lockdown, thing is, everybody should throw their phone into a lake. We should all get off of social media. We should all get away from the technology. And on some levels, like, she's saying it for different reasons, but it almost lines up with the people who are concerned about climate change and consumption as well.
Yeah.
But the problem is with that is that if you throw your phone in the lake, how I don't know. Then what? Then where are we? Do we don't have access then to the connection, the connecting to what is really going on in the world, right? And we're kind of left to figure it out in our own communities or on by ourselves. I don't know. That's a conundrum. It's difficult, question for that, and that's why I'm torn, because I do, yes, this consumer lifestyle and industrial civilization in and of itself is quite deadly to the planet. But if we're gonna actually have kind of like a mass transformation where we can actually walk back down the stairs a little bit, we're gonna need to we're gonna have to have that communication, those lines of communication open, and how best to do it, right? And how best to evolve that. So I don't know if there's like a low power way to keep everybody connected to the internet. I think would be my preference.
Well, I think part of the problem is, did you hear the announcement or the forthcoming? They say the rumors of the announcement of what Apple's going to announce.
Oh no, I don't know what the rumors.
So
are.
Apple is going to announce. I mean, we see it coming little by little, but what they want to do is they want to take us away from that iPhone of holding it.
Oh, and implant it.
No, well, that's probably the next step after this one, which is it's going to go to Google eyewear failed, but what Apple is planning on doing is they're using some optical device.
Okay.
And I think part of the reason why they're doing that is because of gaming devices like Oculus. They see the success rate in that, sure. And so what I think the problem that we're going to be facing next is there is no putting the phone down. Someone is going to have some kind of eyewear monocle on your face while you're communicating with people, and you can just see the problems that we're going to be faced in the coming years as soon as they adapt this type of technology.
Yep. I mean, it makes perfect sense that they would try to to evolve it and get us to a different place with it. There is a bit of you always have to account for human pushback, right? The Google eyewear failed, I think, because it probably was just too much for people. Right. And yes, having your phone in your hand all the time is a thing. Probably not a healthy thing, and people have all kinds of conversations about how unhealthy it is for you. But you are able to put it down, right?
Right.
You can put it down. You can put it across the room. You can, you can turn it off. You can shut the screen down. You can whatever it is. You can disconnect from it if you so choose. And I think, invasive, as technologies try to get more invasive, some people might accept it, but I think a lot of people will reject it.
Well, I think the real problem is that they're going to adapt our children and then our children's children to this technology.
Did you see that video? I think it was on AM Wake Up yesterday. There's a video of a young girl, kind of telling her parents that she has, all the phone technology is now inside of her. She blinks at them and she's like, "I just took your picture," and I just sent it to you with my mind, right? And that I think, and they actually, so that is where we are going, right? And it's being able to get commands from your mind and read your mind or. Right now, through Wi-Fi, they can already take biometric data from you. They already have the capability of detecting your heart rate through Wi-Fi. That's insane, right? And they're saying that they're going to be able to make it so that it can kind of get a suggestion of your thoughts, right? And you could probably just send a mental signal to your to whatever, your phone or your device, to control things. I don't know. I mean, why not?
Well, Kev, I think that this brings us back to the question of can we do with less? I think the only way we're going to be able to do with less is if we have some type of catastrophic event that just brings us to the ground, whatever that.
Unfortunately, evolving into a better frame of being, probably won't happen. I mean, the likelihood is very low.
It's like the Earth's Great Reset, instead
Yeah.
of like
Yeah,
corporate
exactly. The Great Reset is actually what the Earth is planning to do. You're right. You're
reset.
right.
Yeah. All right.
All right, man. Thanks
All
for
right.
calling in.
Peace.
Cool. I got a couple super chats while I was chatting. Rich Diana, thank you. Gave me 2 super chats. I pray for the aerosol god and hope he doesn't have a letdown. Right. Kevin, here's another $5 for a new wire. Thank you, Rich Diana. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chats. All right, let's continue. Oh, I can turn off my. I can unplug this buzz now. Anyways, let's continue. Rockfinners, how you doing? Man, Dr. Koo, you really are taking over the chats there. But glad you're hanging out. Any other people on the Rockfin chat, feel free to jump in, I guess. Brenda says like when HT and all those people in China died and their cell phone batteries died because no one was there to charge them. Right? You're good, Dr. Koo. It's only you in the chat I see, or a lot of you. Right. Okay, let's keep going because I meant to cover this story, and I do this all the time because it was in my thumbnail yesterday. I meant to cover this story yesterday, but it's all in the line of things that we are already talking about. Disappearing fast. What's known as the third pole is all the glaciers in Asia, in the Himalayas, right? The Tibetan Plateau holds Earth's third largest store of frozen water, otherwise known as the third pole, after Antarctica and the Arctic. The region has about 15,000 glaciers that cover almost 100,000 square kilometers. And right, the Himalayas, all the glaciers are melting, and there's a lot less snow. People. Right, the snow is melting. The perma snow on like Mount Everest is melting and revealing, all the detritus of all the past mountain climbers, right? But there's a lot less snow, there's a lot less snow there now. And that's real. That's actually happening. I don't know how that would happen if the Earth weren't warming, but, if you can explain that to me, then go for it. Global climate system's Himalayan hotspot. As temperatures rise, the Himalayas are experiencing accelerated glacial melt. Unfortunately, the current reshuffling of the world order could overlook one of the most critical threats to global stability. And there are water wars going on between India and China. Even here in the U.S., between Tennessee and Georgia, there are water spats. In our collective imagination, the Himalayas, the roof of the world, are an archetype, glistening white, distant, even otherworldly. Climbing them is proof of humanity's daring, courage, and drive. A spirit recently captured in 14 peaks, Nothing is Impossible, a Netflix documentary chronicling one mountaineer's attempt to summit the world's highest peaks in 7 months. Can we stop doing that? Can we stop? Yeah. We're going to, everybody come on, let's go hike these trails and climb these mountains and do that. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's just, it's like, going to go on a little side rant here. I know if it's just one person, well, it's just one person. And I love nature. I've talked about it before. Humans, discontinuing their obliteration of nature by going to see it, hey, let's go hang out. Because it's truly what happens. We absolutely obliterate nature whenever we come into contact with it, especially a lot of us. And they pave the roads over so you can come visit it in your car, right? But even the hikers, even the climbers, even the, they leave all their junk behind. They come through. They, yes, on a small scale, right? Probably not going to impact things too much, but it's never on a small scale. Can we stop with the daring do's and the daring hikes and the climbs, people? Enough already. Oh, great. That's really, tremendous. Just stop it. Leave it alone. Leave nature alone. Go do something else tremendous with yourself. Like, I don't know, grow some food. Like, that's pretty tremendous. If you can grow a garden and feed yourself, gold star for you, Timmy. Exactly. Creative experiments. I laugh at people with mountain bikes on top of their SUVs. Exactly. All right, going biking, huh? But first you're going to go drive a whole lot, and then you're going to go bike. That sounds really great for the planet. Excellent. Anyways. Despite rising 6,993 meters above sea level, the summit of Mount Machu Picchu in central Nepal resembles a black rock pyramid this winter, devoid of ice and snow. Also, the Alps. Glaciers near Mount Everest have turned into large lakes. More than a tourist attraction or a place for high adventure, the Himalayas play a crucial role in regulating the planet's climate. They are also the source of fresh water for billions of people. Let me get you a little closer up here. Oh, sorry. Sorry, calling people. I was just trying to get you a little closer to the action. Anyways, more than a tourist attraction or place for high adventure, the Himalayas play a crucial role in regulating the planet's climate. They are also the source of fresh water for billions of people and for the region's rich, though increasingly degraded ecosystems. As a result, rising temperatures and glacial melt are having far-reaching consequences that already pose grave risks to humanity. And that's it. That's all I'm going to read of that. But you know that's happening, right? I don't need to go on the in-depth excursion of that. The glaciers are melting, and the effects of that are going to be negative, not positive. Skipping really quickly to some politics. I'll go back to some climate change stuff. Did y'all? Yeah, I don't know if I'm taking that call, y'all. Give me a moment, caller. I got to do a story or two. Actually, I'm not going to take your call because I don't like your username. Yeah, still not going to take your call. Durham report finds the FBI failed in its responsibility to the public and never should have launched the Trump-Russia probe. This is from CNN. CNN saying like, oh, and the report is that this is a boondoggle, a gaffe, a mistake. We'll listen to this real quick.
Now an investigation that's 4 years in the making, and we finally have the conclusions. More than 300 pages released by the Justice Department. Now it has now been transmitted to members of Congress, who also are going to want to bring John Durham in to review some of the findings. But the bottom line is this: the investigation found that the FBI failed in many, many ways, things that we already knew from a previous Inspector General report. And I'll read you just a part of it, of John Durham's conclusion. He says, based on the review of Crossfire Hurricane and related intelligence activities, we conclude that the department and the FBI failed to uphold their important mission of strict fidelity to the law in connection with certain events and activities described in this report. This is now an investigation that's 4 years in the making, and
yeah, that's very interesting, right? Whoops. Well, anyways, I'm not going to go super deep into this, but it was pretty much a farce from the beginning, and they were just, they didn't like Trump. They were trying to hem him up, and then they were trying to say that somehow the election was, the scales were tipped by something. And then when the next election happened, they were like, no, this is the safest, bestest election that ever happened. And Biden got the mostest votes of all the presidents that ever did president. Okay. It's just funny. I don't, it's just funny. It's interesting. And that is actually, a confirmation of what a lot of people had said through the entire process of it. Was like, this is ridiculous. This is not really a thing that happened. You guys are just mad that Trump won. Why don't you just, move along? Anyways. Yeah, Reflect the Sun, the Mea Culpa era, maybe a good band name. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, the username, well, I'll tell you what the username was. Come Guzzler 69. I'm not going to take a call, okay? Sorry, if anybody have children out there listening. I'm not going to take a call from somebody with that. You only know that it's foolishness coming your way, right? And this caller left and said, this is an elitist room. Okay. I can't take you seriously with that name. I just don't really want to hear anything you have to say. And I just kind of assume that you're just here to waste my time. So let's not, let's not do that. All right. Let's keep going. While not campaigning, yes. Right. Yeah, he won the most votes while not campaigning, right? Denver. Yeah. Okay. What are we doing? What am I looking at? Sorry, got a little lost here. Where's my thing? This is very interesting. Recent Rasmussen poll of all voters says it says that RFK Jr. is 1 point behind Biden in a poll of all likely voters. Recent Rasmussen poll. This is from Steve Kirsch. Well, this is very interesting, a very interesting turn of events. Biden is extremely unpopular. He's probably, and the polls say that he is the most unpopular, probably incumbent of recent times. I think everybody is, figuring out what an insanely bad job he's doing. And they're figuring out what his true colors are. And man, this war thing is not popular. I'm telling you, it is not popular. When your economy is going in the down the drain, and you're super into keeping a very unpopular war going, and et cetera, et cetera. Let me go down the list. And you're going back on all your climate pledges, and what else can we say? And there's rumors and whisperings of maybe cutting some Social Security and some Medicare pretty soon. I mean, you are not doing yourself any favors by doing absolutely nothing for people and going out and insisting that you are, this is the best administration since FDR. I mean, maybe they got by, I guess, on people's misplaced understanding of history when they said he's the next FDR or whatever. Like he's not anybody anywhere near. He's more like Nixon. Biden is way closer to Nixon than FDR any day of the week, and he always has been. Always has been. His entire political career, he has been more like a Nixon than an FDR. And the fact that some people actually repeated that line or thought that was, sure, I'll buy that one. Come on, you got to do a little better. Anyways, if the candidates for the 2024 Democratic presidential nomination were Joe Biden, RFK Jr., and Marianne Williamson, which candidate would you vote for? So here you go. RFK Jr., 35%, Joe Biden, 36%, Marianne Williamson, 6%, not sure, 12%, some other candidate, 11%. But, I mean, that's, we're halfway through 2023. I mean, there should be some primaries going, a primary process, a debate process. They say that they're not going to do it. And that's very interesting. And let's listen to this from Sabby Sabs. Let's see. Has a little take on this. We won't listen to too much of this, but a little bit.
This is huge news as well. There is a new poll in reference to the
Oh, my bad. Nope. My bad. Sorry, guys.
This is huge news as well. There is a new poll in reference to the Democratic primary, and I think you really need to sit down and take a look at this. Brace yourself. Right now, this is a poll from Rasmussen. If the candidates for the 2024 Democratic presidential nomination were Joe Biden, RFK Jr., and Marianne Williamson, which candidate would you vote for? Everybody hold on to your seats for this one. 36% said Joe Biden. 35% said RFK Jr. 6% Marianne Williamson, 11% some other candidate, 12% not sure. Even the some other candidate isn't higher than RFK Jr.'s percentage here. 35%. This is huge. And if you want to adjust for a margin of error, you could kind of almost say that him and Joe Biden, this technically would be considered a tie.
It absolutely would be a tie.
But the Democratic Party doesn't want you to have any debates. I told you, if you keep watching this, RFK Jr. is going to continue to climb in the polls. And then it's going to become very more difficult, I think, for people to make excuses for the Democratic Party choosing not to have primary debates. How can you?
And that's the point I wanted to get to. I'll just leave it right there because time is short. It's going to be hard to keep that particular thing going, especially it's May, they're tied right now. You only need RFK Jr. to go out and do a couple more appearances around the internet and just let Joe Biden continue doing Joe Biden. You only need another month or two of that before RFK is firmly in the lead, right, by 10 points. I imagine by the end of the summer, RFK will be, way up in the polls. Biden will be completely out of it. And then, how are they going to sell that to the American public, right? How are they going to sell, we're not having any debates or no primaries or nothing. It's going to be, public perception does count for something. You do need to take people's opinions into account, and they, over time they've shown that, when people get angry enough and say enough things, they go, okay, I guess we gotta pay attention to that, and we'll see how they react to that. I really don't know which way they're going to go with that one. If they're going to actually, go for the maybe we'll act, we'll do the above board thing and have the debates, or maybe they'll go just, I don't know. I don't know. Where are we going? I only have a couple more minutes here. Well, while we're on Biden, it's, I don't think that, I don't necessarily believe that people had the historical amnesia that they said that they had, but, this is who Biden has been for his whole. For 40 years, Biden touted his dream of working with the GOP to slash social programs. Then in 2020, he flagrantly, that's a hard word to say, lied about it, and pundits helped him memory hole his record. And people were like, sure, because I just hate Trump so much, and I believe anything you tell me. Now here we are, the old Biden endorsing budget cutting amid GOP pressure. So, right, these bad old Republicans made me do it. In a debt standoff, the president resurrects his old arguments that he and his media allies tried to erase. He slammed GOP leaders for demanding draconian spending cuts in exchange for passage of routine legislation to prevent the government from defaulting on its outstanding debts. Then he also declared that such austerity must be a long-term priority. We should be cutting spending and lowering the deficit, said Biden. Sounds like Ronnie Reagan. Sounds exactly like Ronnie Reagan, who, if you remember, Obama publicly stated that his policies were much like a moderate Republican, that he wasn't that different from Ronald Reagan. He said that out loud with his own words, out of his own mouth, on a stage. Go look it up. He said it. He admitted to it. He was very much he was a right winger, just as Joe Biden is. Joe Biden's a right winger, right? So they're not, they tell you they're progressive, they sell you the progressive, and you're like, yeah, you're gonna change things. And then they get in there and they're like, how about some right wing stuff? Cool. Sounds good. But he said, Biden, we should be cutting spending and lowering the deficit. White House officials acknowledge they must accept some spending cuts or strict caps on future spending if they are to strike a deal. I told you this is going to happen. I called it long ago, that eventually Joe Biden would be like, oh, yeah, these Republicans, they got me over a barrel. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to cut this Social Security and do the Medicare's, we're going to have to, it's got to come from somewhere. I'm sorry, guys. We tried our hardest. And that's what he is there to do. That is the purpose of him being there, is to be the right winger's best friend, to be the water, carry the water for the GOP. We just couldn't do, It's also interesting that the abortion thing was struck down during Biden's administration. Right? Isn't that strange? If that happened under the under Trump or GOP administration, they would be, people would be like, people lost their minds anyways. But it was, because Biden was in office, people were like, what do we? I don't really know how to how to really like put this together because you know abortion rights were just struck down, but Biden's in office and he's supposed to protect the boy. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. I feel kind of icky and weird, and I don't know whether should I be mad at Biden? Like that's what he's there to do. That's what the Democrats are there to do, to push through all the things the GOP can't push through just like straight up, right? They're like, here you go. Here you go. All right, we're about to wind it down. Lightning rod, they must make cuts now so that military spending can ramp up in the future. Because it's going to ramp up in the future. Reflect the sun. How will we fund wars if we don't? Of course. I mean, and that's, again, you guys are pointing out, you guys are smart. You know what's up. They're pointing out the obvious, whenever it comes to social programs, how are we going to pay for it? Medicare for all. Where's the money going to come from? We can't just print the money out of thin air. That would be crazy. And then like when it comes to the military budget, they're like, where'd the money come from? I don't know. We just found it. It's okay. They printed it out of thin air. You're right, Rich Diana. It was Trump's Supremes that did enroll. Well, here's the thing. Trump was president. The Democrats fast-tracked all his judicial choices. What's his name? I can't remember. He's so forgettable. They fast-tracked all of his, lower court judicial choices. They were like, yeah, go for it. They approved all his military budget. I mean, he was supposedly like a Russian op and a Putin puppet, and he was, not a real president, and he was a bad person. But every time you put down a military budget, they were like, we got you. Pass. Every time he put forward a judicial appointment, they were like, let him on through. Right? They set up the situation. They set up the, for the future for them to do the things. They set it up. Anyways. Biden didn't expand the Supreme Court, right? Exactly. The ratchet effect, the Dems, right? Of course. Yeah, you guys are on top of it. You know the deal. You know the thing, man. All right, looking through the Rockfin chats a little bit. Didn't Denver Attaway says, didn't Biden campaign on codifying abortion rights and then didn't? Yeah. Didn't know. I mean, wasn't Obama talking about that too? And he didn't. So there you go. I don't know. They just say the things and people are like, oh, sure, it's going to be okay. Thanks. I hope it happens. And then it doesn't happen. And then they're like, oh, man, we fell for the okie doke again. What are we going to do next time? I don't know. Vote Democrat because the Republican guy is just so bad. He's like fascism and he's the worst and he's like super racist. And so if you don't vote for Democrat, you're going to get the worst thing, again and again and again and again, over and over and over. And that's why Trump is running. And that's why CNN gave Trump a town hall so that they're going to, oh, what if he's president again? You want to say something, Trump? Here, you want to get out there and talk to the people? Oh, you better shut up. You're a bad man. You're really bad. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Oh, he's a liar. But you want to get on stage and talk to the people of CNN? That's so ridiculous. And then he's gonna be the you hear my tooth? He's gonna be the Republican front runner, and then they're gonna be like, oh my God, oh, we're gonna have to vote for Biden. Oh, RFK Jr. is a wild man and crazy, and we don't know what he's gonna do, and how are we gonna pay for it? What's gonna happen? We're gonna have to vote for Biden because Trump might be back, and everybody's gonna go, ah. That's exactly how it's going to play out. I'm telling you, and I told you 2 years ago, and I'll tell you here, and then next year when it's happening, everybody will be like, but it's going to be Trump again, and you're a bad man because you said it's stupid. Oh, my God. Can you all just take off the dunce cap just for a little bit? Just think it on through. All right, guys, that does it for me. Thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I will be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And until next time, peace.